What up? What up? So I ain't gonna shoot. I'm not gonna shoot at y'all like that without letting you know what gauge. I mean, what caliber of bullet you got hit with, if that makes sense. So now, with that being said, I'm explaining to you why homosexuality between men and women is deemed a mental illness, and it's gonna fuck y'all up. But it is what it is. Okay, so what happens is when you have anal sex, both men and women, you have an electrical current that, well, we call it the kundalini. You reverse the kundalini. That's just the best way to put it. And you render yourself to operating from a lower vibration. Is what happens to you. And so what happens is you become more reptilian minded. You function more off of your reptilian brain that you have installed in the back of you. All right. And you become less pineal gland oriented. And why does this happen? Well, because you do things like that from a place of lust and not love. And you'll be surprised the importance and the energy that love holds. So now if you would commit the same act from a place of love with the person that you love and you're not lusting after, you're a balanced being. You're balanced spiritually. So it makes it harder for you to become imbalanced because you're already balanced. So what happens is you participate in these acts without being balanced, which puts you at a lower balance, which makes you low vibrational. Now, if you participate in these acts at a high vibration, well, then you maintain your balance. So I'm not frowning on homosexuality because it was actually meant to control the population. The idea of it was this. Here it is. It wasn't a bad thing as long as you were trying to have a child. It only is a bad thing when you don't want to have children, when you don't want to repopulate. Then it becomes a bad thing. It's a bad thing. Everything is a bad thing when you do it from a lustful position. Hell, eating can be a bad thing when you lust after food. And a lot of y'all lust after things and don't realize it. You lust after money. So with that being said, the things that you lust after end up causing a chemical imbalance in your body. Period. That's just the best way to describe it. Lust is a very dangerous thing when it's not accompanied with love and you're not lusting after the one that you love. It's okay to lust after who you love, but it's not okay when you're lusting after somebody you don't love. You're just lusting after them. You just want to have sex with them. And that's what causes the imbalance. And that's what causes you to end up being stuck in a low vibrational state. And this is what causes narcissism and bipolarism, schizophrenia, being a psychopath. All these things come from those acts. STDs all come from operating from a low vibrational place and committing these acts, which lowers your vibration even more. And when you lower your vibration, you lower your immune system. So you become sick. You become vulnerable. You become vulnerable to more mental illnesses. And you become more vulnerable to more physical illnesses because you guys do not operate from a high spiritual place, which means you're not mindful. You operate from a mindless place and you do mindless shit. And then you question later on how, who, what, when, where, and why. Well, yeah, of course that makes sense because you're mindless. Now, when you're mindful, you don't ask these questions like who, when, what, where, and why because you know these things already. That's the difference. It's not what you do, it's how you do it and why you're doing it. And if you're not doing it from a place of love, then you shouldn't be doing it at all. Period, point blank, like that. And that means having sex with somebody. That means getting up and going to work every day. That means raising children. That means taking care of community. your community. That means participating in your community. If you don't have a love for your community, then why are you here? If you don't have a love for your planet, then why are you here? If you don't have love for your fellow man, your fellow sister, your fellow children, because it takes a village to raise them. And we are all children of God at the end of the day. And we're not raising each other in the proper way to go. Instead, we're settling for the fuck shit. And then we're complaining to people about the shit that we're getting and what we're given, and about our liberties and about our rights. But the little bit of liberties and rights that we have, we are irresponsible as fuck with. So I'm going to say this to you. The old saying, you give a nigga an inch, he going to take a motherfucking yard. Well, I don't mind giving you an inch if you're going to take a yard and use it responsibly. But now if I'm going to give you an inch and you take a yard, and you're going to break it back down to an inch again, why fucking bother? And with that being said, food for thought. Get your minds right. Get your heart right. Get your life right. Because until you get your spirit aligned properly with your heart and your mind and your body, y'all losing. You in the game for nothing. You're wasting time. You're setting yourself up for failure. You're being counterproductive, which the definition of that is destructive. So you can't expect someone else to not destroy you if you're destroying yourself and everybody else and everything else around you. So now if you want respect, respect is earned. And you can't earn respect until you respect yourself. You can't love nobody else until you love yourself. And my motto is this: a person is only going to treat you as good as they treat themselves. And when I look out in my community, I see a lot of people who don't know how to treat themselves. Treat yourself better. And I don't mean with money. I mean, find the God within you. And when you find that God within you, you're going to realize God self-reflects. If God didn't self-reflect, none of us would exist.